Hello my friends, welcome to the metal shop. We started with a time lapse of me getting the bulk of the work finished finally on the BrassoCaster here. Nice scratch right there. Inevitable, the finish is very tender here. I must have scratched that with the pick guard. But, so what I did in that time lapse was, took the pick guard off. I intended to just flip the switch around, which is really not the right way to do it, but it's a super switch with 2 rows of posts for soldering on. So I was able to, it was hard to figure out because there's a lot of wiring in this guitar, this setup from Charvel. I was able to figure out which wires were the pickups and just switch them, which is the proper way to do things. I want to mention very briefly just a little thing about shop safety is I always, not only do I turn my soldering iron on and off with the switch, I unplug it when I'm done, no matter what. There was one time many years ago, probably 20-something years ago, where I left it on overnight. Now, nothing happened, but easily, you could cause a fire, burn your house down, loss of life, the whole thing. I'm not trying to be overly dramatic. As a rule, it's always unplugged. I plug it in when I need it. I turn it off. It gets unplugged. Just do that. So I've seen some guys rig up timer switches on them. Like when the thing sits, for more than, like, you set it for half hour, 2 hours, something like that. Have something in place, some kind of system in place so that you don't leave your soldering iron on, because you will forget. It happened to me. Switch the wiring. So I tested it. I got it to, so this is the bridge pickup. This is the neck pickup. This is a combination. There's some weird combinations here with coil splitting. When it picks which pickup it picks up when the switching. I'm going to have to play with it, but it largely works. I also, I swapped out all of the screws for nice bronze screws that I picked up on eBay, and I think it was like $9 for 100 bronze pickguard screws. Good deal. And I did properly route the ground wire to the Kaler into the cavity. I bought a set of long drill bits from Amazon, and this set right here, which you'll probably never need half of them, I think it was $22, okay? And it's funny because I had it in my saved items for a long time that I had forgotten about. When I went to look again, Amazon shows you previously viewed. I looked on that one and it said saved in your list. I'm like, oh, okay. Because there's a bunch of different ones. I'm like, and it's funny because I had picked out the same one again, of course. The right price point. This seemed to be quality drill bit set, but I drilled from in the cavity, from this cavity into this one, routed the wire. That's the proper way to do it. You're never going to see it. It's never going to be exposed. It really can't fail. It's funny because where I bolted down the Kaler onto it, it kind of put a dent in the face of the guitar. So when I rerouted it, I put it in the same spot. It fit nicely right in that little dent. So, woo. I do that every time. It's like a kid when you're sitting behind the steering wheel and you make car noises. Whenever I move the Kaler, it's just like, it's kind of fun. Doesn't have the feel of a Floyd Rose. It's kind of a, the wiggle stick or whatever. But you notice I did use brass screws here. I bought at the hardware store just for the look. But I pre-drilled and I used wax on those screws because brass screws are kind of fragile. So I guess what we're going to do next is, all that's really left is I got to string this thing up. And maybe we'll do a quick demonstration. So I guess we're going to go to another time lapse and get this thing strung up. Remember, I did leave the left-handed knobs, the left-handed taper knobs. So this, turning it, if you're facing it, turning it clockwise is all the way off. Turning it counterclockwise is all the way up. kind of weird, but other than replacing the 2 push-pull pots with that left-handed taper, you know, that's really your only option. And I could have obviously done away with all of the fancy switching and just put a couple of 500K pots in there, but I really wanted to kind of have some fun with and experiment with the fancy switching from Charvel that they did with these 2 Seymour Duncans, the bridge distortion and the neck distortion that came in that San Dimas Pro mod. So I'm going to have to try and find something online, that one of those little nifty diagrams that shows what each position does. I think I did a while ago. When I think I might have one saved in my photos. I'll give it a look-see on that as to what the individual switching does. You guys hit me up in the comments if you know. I'm pretty sure that some of you do know what the fancy switching is. I do have a little bit of shielding paint connecting the bridge to the underside of the brass plate right there. I went to remove it, and I'm like, no, let's leave that there. Leave it connected. So yeah, anyway, on to another time lapse, and we'll get this BrassoCaster strung up. All right, cool. All right, well, we've reached a good stopping point. All strung up, partially dialed in. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys, this thing sounds like crap. I'm getting tons of sitar noises. I think part of the issue is issues with the nut. I'm going to have to work on the nut slots a little bit, but I'm thinking I may be having problems with the strings coming through the nut and then hitting the locking clamp at too high of a point so that I'm getting that sitar noise. And I think this is just awful. I believe I need a truss rod adjustment. And I checked the neck when I bolted it on, and it was nice. And then when I even put one string on, I looked at it, and it's got a bit of a back bow. And you can see what adjusting the truss rod is going to entail. It's going to be removing this clamp. So I think that's what I'm looking at, is probably removing the clamp, filing the nut slots, maybe filing the break angle on the clamp a little bit, and doing a truss rod adjustment. So we got a long ways to go on the BrassoCaster unless I want to turn it into a sitar. Whatever, is what it is. It's a project guitar. It's a work in progress. Nothing that we can't fix. I was messing with the string spacing. I did a good job mounting the caler. I've got plenty of room fore and aft. There's a lot of adjustments. You got string spacing. You got radius if you want it. Obviously your action. We got a long ways to go for this guitar. I did get it all in tune and sitting pretty nice and level with the bar, which I do like. But yeah, can't have it. I did have to take the neck off and put a shim in there, and I'm still getting some buzzing here in the upper register. So yep, got a ways to go. I keep saying that. Oh, it never ends, my friends. Never ends. Oh, all right. And very quickly before I forget, I did get the switching figured out. So figuring out what model we had, because Charvel uses a bunch of, initials and acronyms, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this setup was from a Pro mod. All that means is production model. So it's a SoCal Style 1 HH, humbucker. That's what we started with. The thing that kind of threw things off was being left-handed. There's a couple differences. You could get these with a 5-way or a 3-way, and I don't even know that you can necessarily spec it out. I think it's just whichever one it comes with. So there's diagrams on Charvel's website for both, but this one came with a 3-way switch. Okay, so with this, the volume down, it's a push-pull. With the volume down, it's fairly standard. You get the humbucker, but then when you're in the middle, oddly, you get the 2 inside coils. Up here, we get the neck humbucker, okay? Now, when this is up, it's just coil splitting. You think we get the bridge single. Now in the middle, now we're getting the outside 2 coils. This one and this one. And here, we're getting just the neck. What kind of messed me up was the SoCal Style 1 HH comes with the no-load tone pot. So when you're on 10, and if we pretend this is right hand, when you're on 10, it completely takes the tone knob out of the circuit. So in theory, you're straight to the pickups, straight to the output jack, more power, cleaner sound, whatever. But since these are left-handed, with the left-handed taper, they couldn't do that. So the no-load tone pot on left-handed guitars only is a push-pull. So that's what kind of screwed things up there. So that's the switching. That's what we started with, this pick guard assembly from Charvel. And now, now I can continue on. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'll put in a picture real quick, just to explain the switching. And now I can go on to fix the many, many problems that this guitar has. All right, well, you can hear the loud hum of the GK in the background, which only mean one thing. Time for the demo portion of this episode. And this thing has fought me the entire way. It really, I'll be honest, it won't stay in tune. I removed the nut and adjusted the truss rod, and I'm happy with that. I'm still getting a bunch of sitar noise on the E string now, which I wasn't previously. It was the B string. I can't fix it. It's a problem of where the actual nut of the guitar is versus the caler. It kind of makes like an S pattern, and it just there's just no fixing it. Sometimes you build a guitar, you hit a home run. Sometimes you ground out, and this thing, it needs some work. Now when you pull up the coil splitting, doesn't work. I don't know what happened. All the wiring is intact. I did switch it so that the switching is correct. I think I went over that. It works like a regular guitar. The no-load tone pot, quite honestly, sounds like garbage. The whole thing sounds like garbage. Honestly, I'm just being 100% honest. With the no-load tone pot in, it's just harsh. It's harsh. It's trebly. It's not good. Its sound is not good. You pull it up, it sounds better. Sorry. Let's just see how this thing sounds. You judge for yourself. All right, that's it. That's it. I just can't take it. Hang on just 1 second, please. Let me turn off that super noisy GK. Really, I'm just having a day here. That GK is nothing but a hum generating machine today. This thing, you think about touching the bar, it goes out of tune. I give up. I give up. I have never felt more like throwing a guitar for 35 years. I had to check myself. I can't even tell you how many times from just taking this guitar and throwing it across the room. That's how frustrating this thing is. The Kaler, I'm sorry, the Kaler's garbage. This thing will not stay in tune at all. It just won't. You touch it. You saw during the demonstration, just playing, it went out of tune. And I have stretched these strings. I have tried everything I can possibly think of. It just won't stay in tune. You know, the Sitar effect here, I can't fix it. It's, again, every time I hear that, I want to smash this guitar to bits. I'm being perfectly honest with you. So that's it. I'm throwing in the towel on this thing. I'm not sure what's going to happen to it. I may blow it apart. There's a lot of good parts in here. This pick guard was quite expensive, $200. The Kaler, quite expensive. I may, like I said, I may blow this thing apart and sell it on for parts. But as a whole, it's just garbage. The switching doesn't work. The pickups don't sound. They sound harsh to me. It doesn't sound good. Maybe that's just a symptom of the GK. Kaler won't stay in tune. The problems that I had with the nut, I give up. Give up. And sometimes it's better to admit defeat like that than to continually bang your head against the wall. So, as always, my friends, I truly do appreciate your support. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Truly helps the algorithm. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you've had experiences like this before. My Danger Radiation guitar, the Rising Sun Black and Yellow Rising Sun graphic, that was a home run. That thing sounds fantastic. Plays fantastic. I love that thing. Completely polar opposite to this guitar, which I just can't do anything with. Like I said, sometimes you hit a home run. Sometimes you ground out. Sometimes you get hit in the head with a baseball. I don't even know. Again, truly do appreciate your support. Appreciate the view. We're closing out the series on the BrassoCaster. Again, hit me up in those comments. I'd love to hear any suggestions that you may have to what can we do to salvage this thing, because I think it's beyond hope. It should be parted out, and I'll use these good parts somewhere else. All right, my friends, take care. Bye-bye.